Today we have very interesting theme. We suggest you to work with thin, open-work stencils, with which help we will create a fine volume decor on two wooden caskets. On one product we will work with a colored decor, and the second we will make monochrome. We very much hope that our ideas and operating time will be useful to you, and you necessarily will use them when decide to decorate an interior of your house with unusual and beautiful handmade things. Hello, my name is Natasha Fokhtina, and I'm glad as always to welcome you in our studio. Today we have the most interesting lesson. We will work in our favorite decoupage technique, and will try to use in a decor of wooden caskets here such thin open-work stencils. To tell the truth, as pattern at such stencil is small enough, I have refused at once the idea to pattern by the paint through it, using a plug-in method. In my opinion, it can be made accurate. I won't tell not truth, certainly it's possible, but without the experience is difficultly enough, and I have another idea. It seems to me that such material for creativity will approach more for a volume decor. Such lace will look beautiful if it's volume. I think you agree with me, looking at these caskets, that the volume looks much more effectively than a flat ornament. Though to achieve similar effect, we should work properly. And the most important thing, we should select the good volume pastes. After all, not each paste can reproduce the similar thin open work and keep on a surface. For example, I use in work the acrylic relief pastes in the variant with such casket book. It has the sapphire color. And with this casket it has a white color. I noticed that it's not necessary to buy multicolored pastes. You can create many variants and from white paste, adding in it the acrylic paints. Why this paste is wonderful? The mix of this paste with paints is very plastic and allows make the various relief works, including the use of stencils. Though it can be put on a surface in pure form and be painted already after drying. The dried surface perfectly accepts any paints from acrylic to watercolor. Paste is put on a surface with the help of palette knife, and it can be left on drying. The time of it full drying is from 1 to 5 hours. Pay attention that to regulate this paste is very simply. If it's thick enough, you can thin it slightly with acrylic varnish. And if it's on the contrary liquid, it's possible to add in it an acrylic thickener. Yes, such convenient and necessary material exists, and many masters use it, especially in work with stencils. Also, I noticed that this paste remarkably works, and when we need to create any volume decor using the relief palette knife. Look, I have made in a similar way the pages at my casket book, and in my opinion they look well. Also, at first, I have thought that the lacy decor created by means of transparent volume paste would look on a product thin enough, and it's very strong and firm. But at once I have renounced this idea. After all, such stencils are very expensive to use at one time, and it's possible to wash off from them usual water-soluble paste. Therefore, I recommend to you to use it in work. So, let's examine the things which we decorate today with you. We will begin here with such wooden casket book. What interesting in it? I think that the combination of 3 colors in a lacy decor looks very much good. I have a paint of indigo color under the lace. The lace is put by volume paste of sapphire color, and from the top is the openwork decor, which is coated with white acrylic glazing haze. Here I like the idea the volume pages about which I already spoke to you. I remind, I have made them from the same paste by means of relief palette knife. And in my opinion, here, the decoupage fragment which decorates the cover of my casket, in other words, the cover of my book, looks not bad. I'm completely fogged, but it's not important. The main thing is that you will make everything as you planned. For example, you will decide to make such monochrome casket. It turns out that to make it, you won't make special works. You just need to watch my recommendations and you necessarily will make everything. And is much more interesting and accurate than at me. I'm simply sure in it. After all, this casket technologically is made simply enough and interesting. On the cover is a decoupage from a 3-layer black and white napkin and a lace with which we have put through a plastic stencil by white relief acrylic paste on a black ground decorates its side. It looks very original and elegant, and I very much hope that you will like this idea too. So, we begin with decoration here such casket book. I advise to you not to miss the first and habitual operation. You necessarily should putty and polish with an emery paper the preparation before you will start to work with it. At first sight, it seems that this stage in work isn't important, but actually on it depends how work will look as a result. Further, there is one more necessary operation. You should put on preparation the white acrylic ground, dry it, and again to polish with an emery paper. And now about a decor. At first, we make a decoupage. In other words, we choose the drawing. I like here such drawing which has been cut out from a 3-layer paper napkin. I separate from it the top layer and I glue it on the casket cover, coating with a flat synthetic brush from above with glue for a decoupage or white glue. And further, there is a drying and we can pass to work with acrylic paints and pastes. So, we have the drawing. It means it's necessary to frame it. In other words, it should merge with the book. Though it's not necessary, after all, on a white background it will look also wonderful. Simply, I have set myself the more difficult task. I will work with color. We take acrylic paint of indigo color and put it on all product by means of a brush. We dry this paint layer well and pass to work with the volume decor. I advise to you at first to make a frame round the glue drawing. Choose to yourself any thin ornament and put it by sapphire paste. Only when you will work with a stencil, make each side separately. Put an open work strip, dry, wash a stencil and we put through it the following strip and again dry it. I agree with you that it's tiresome work, but it's worth it. After all, as a result, we have such beauty. I advise to you to put a lacy decor on all product in a similar way. On a back, put a lacy stencil, put on it the paste, remove it and dry. And already after drying, it's possible to pose to a product underside. Pay attention that I don't have a stencil of such width as a casket. Therefore, I have put a lacy ornament 3 times, having got thereby here such whole open work. Now is the most interesting. We need to make the book of this box. We put, using the palette knife here, relief acrylic paste. And by means of relief rubber palette knife here, thus we form pages. Such volume, in my opinion, looks very interesting and naturalistic, and we need to dry it well to pass to the following stage of work. I would recommend to you to leave the volume decor for the night, that it will dry up well. After all, in my opinion, it's not necessary to wait 5 hours. In the evening you sit and will make half of work, and in the morning with new forces finish it. Though, if you hurry to see the result of the work faster, take the hair dryer and dry by it paste. But be ready that here you will face a danger. Paste can crack with quick drying and it should be repaired. If you make the work similar on stylistics, easy cracks on a lace won't prevent you, and can be, and on the contrary, will decorate it. By the way, we can try on this variant. So, after the volume decor will dry up, I recommend you to take the white acrylic paint and to put it by plug-in method on a lacy surface easy translucent haze. We turn pages, pasting over them a piece of foam rubber with a paint. Before it, the foam rubber is better to dry on a paper and then already to pass it along pages. To tell the truth, this work, though looks at first sight difficult enough, but it's quite accessible even to the beginner. And now, watch closing my hands. I'm sure that now you will see much more interesting than I've told to you. Now, as I promised, we pass to a decor of such wonderful black and white casket. As I already told to you, this bagatelle is simple enough in making. Here, it's enough to carry out the operation step by step to get the good end result. So, the first and very important operation is the preparation of a wooden surface for work. We can't cancel puttying and polishing in any way. Further, there is a decoupage. We take a cover of the casket, put on it white acrylic ground, dry it, polish and glue from above one layer of a paper napkin with such black and white drawing, coating it from above with a flat synthetic brush with white glue or glue for a decoupage. By the way, I don't advise to you to cut out the napkin motif on the sides of a cover. Let it will be a little more. We, after it drying, will remove the surpluses by means of an emery paper. Now we will make the casket base. I have decided not to coat it with white acrylic ground, as the decoupage here isn't supposed, and it wants to coat with the black. On a black background, the white lace will look wonderfully. I put a black ground using a brush and dry well. Also, I have set myself a difficult task. I would like to get slightly fuzzy and rough lace. In such variant, it doesn't look very contrast and sharply. For this purpose, I took the relief white paste, diluted with water, and have put it by rubber palette knife through a stencil on sides and the bottom of my casket. I had not simple task. One side is all the same, a little more accurately the others, but it's possible to put water on it by foam rubber, and it wash off a little and will become not such sharp. And except the good drying and varnishing, it's necessary nothing more for this casket. It seems to me that today I have told you all that I wanted about how imagine the work with such open-work stencil. I like them, and these two things confirm my words. I'm not sure that you will use the same volume pastes as I, but the principle of work won't change from it. If you will have the interesting, original and beautiful decor, it doesn't matter how it's made. You can work using the putty for building, if only you like the result. And I notice that a stencil is a necessary and interesting thing where them only don't use. For example, in graffiti, they are necessary to increase the clearness of drawing or that one picture could be repeated many times. As a rule, such stencils are made manually of a paper or a cardboard. The image is cut out by means of the razor or an office knife and put by spray can with a paint. In the industry and in the army, I use the stencils of the large sizes. They are used for fast drawing of large marks, marking or for high-speed numbering. As a rule, it's enough to pass the roller with the paint over all surface that the stencil drawing will be accurate. In the drawing, the metal or plastic stencils facilitate the applying of inscriptions and standard geometrical figures on drawings. Stencils are used for the decoration of living quarters, also are children's toys. And in 70s, 80s years of the 20th century, by means of stencils are made the inscriptions on posters. Some kinds specially developed stencils fonts are known. And such stencils could be used for drawing of the whole sentences, such as, for example, the well-known inscription on the Nevsky Prospect. Citizens at bombardment, this side of the street is the most dangerous. And also, we use the stencils in a decoupage, at that frequent and successful. So, in this world, all is interconnected, and the thing which has appeared once for simplification of life can turn to a thing decorating it. And on it, me, Natasha Fokhtina, say goodbye to you, to new ideas. Good luck and goodbye.